Okay, Mr. Scribe, are we on? All right, good evening. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in to The Real Level Up. Yes, we are back live. Today is now January 17th. And the reason why I am putting out the date of today, it is the day before we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday, which will be tomorrow. All right. Well, yes, we're in 2021. I am aware that everyone is a little bit relieved that we're in 2021, but let's just say this. We're not going to always say that 2020 was that horrible. Now
Yes, it was.
let me just
Yes, it
explain. Let
was.
me just explain. Let me just explain because for a lot of people, although lives were lost, and that is the horrible part of it. And on top of that, there were people that, had, health conditions that were compromised. Those things were horrible. And there are a lot of people that lost their businesses and their jobs. But I've been talking with a lot of people who are trying their best to look at 2021 as something new, something fresh, whatever we needed to do to actually pivot. As you guys can see, Level Up has pivot once again. Once again. Let me just say to everyone, each and every one of us are broadcasting from our homes. And the reason why we're doing that, we're wanting to make sure that everyone will be safe. But on top of all that, we wanted to make sure that we still were broadcasting live, giving you a show that you can enjoy and take with you right in your heart. So yes, we are here. We are live and well. Hello, Mr. Scribe. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. And just to pivot off what you said, a lot of things happened in 2020, but what came out of it was the fact that we can reconnect the way we're reconnecting now. This was something that was not thought of before. It was only used in certain environments, work related, etc.
Yeah.
But the fact that we can connect and be in different places and be able to share the knowledge and share our faith and do those things. So it wasn't all bad, but there was just a lot of stuff that my faith kind of carried me through because I noticed that I was saying my condolences a lot last
Yeah.
year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And even this morning, Mr. Scribe and I, we attend the same church, and we had to say once again to one of our fellow parishioners condolences because she did lose a parent through this. And so, yeah, a lot of people had to go through a number of things that, gosh, it was just one after the other after the other. But what we want to do, we want to provide a show for you today that will uplift you, that will maybe, tickle your funny bone a little bit, because the people that we have on our show today, they are phenomenal people. Met them actually last year, the end of last year, through a great friend of the show, Grace Hindy. Thanks once again to Grace, who knew these great people. And as soon as I heard about them, I went to Grace and said, Grace, we got to have them on the show. And I decided to have them on the show on the 17th, the day before Martin Luther King's birthday. One of the reasons, they are the children of the late, great C.T. Vivian. All right, this show is going to be very, very informative. It's going to, like I said, tickle your funny bone, because what I've asked Al Vivian and Charisse Vivian Thornton, I just said, look, we just want to get to know you. What was it like growing up in a household with the great C.T. Vivian? And you know how we are, you guys. We are talking about behind the scenes. What was it like growing up a child of the Vivians? All right. So Al, I see that you are ready to say something to our viewing audience. If you go ahead and unmute your mic and just say hello to our audience.
And thank you for mentioning unmute my mic, because I would have started talking when there would have been no sound. Because yes, I have been trained, turn the mic off every time you're not talking because of background noise. So I had it off. So it was absolutely wonderful growing up under Dad. Changed my life, well, say changed my life in that that's all the life I've known is growing up under him. But I mean, I would add to it that it later changed my career because I ended up working with and for Dad, and then later running the company. But it was just wonderful. It was an opportunity to get to know people that otherwise we would not have met. Being able to get to meet people who were pivotal in the changing of people who created real democracy in America. Because let's not joke with each other or kid each other as we hear people say, we've been in a democracy since 1776. That's just a lie. Because the whole premise of a democracy is that the people are able to select their government leadership via the vote. Well, if millions of people were denied access to do that simply because of the color of their skin, then that was not democracy. In fact, by textbook definition, that's hypocrisy, calling yourself one thing while you're something else. And
Wow.
so it wasn't until the Voting Rights Bill was signed into law that we became a democracy. And so we got to grow up in a household where we got to meet the people who made that happen. Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson, Julian Bond, Dorothy Cotton, etc. So the people that really made this a democracy, Dad was a part of that team. And that's just, when you look at it in hindsight, that's just an amazing thing. So yeah, I don't want to say too much now because I'll probably add all that.
You're giving it all the way out.
It was wonderful growing up under Dad because loving, caring, God-fearing man, and being able to see what a husband is supposed to be. Just so my friends would pick at me. They would see Mom and Dad walking down the mall holding hands. Yeah. That's how your parents are holding hands. They think they're young. I'm like, that's wonderful. You're picking at that. That's awesome.
Well, we have your sister on as well, Charisse, Vivian Thornton. Hi, Charisse. Go ahead. Well, you're unmuted already. Say hello to the viewing audience.
Hello. For having us on your show.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You're kind of going in and out, Charisse, but we'll try to get that fixed. Maybe you have to go a little bit closer to your mic on your computer. But we are so thankful that both you guys have decided to be on our show today. First of all, in honor of the Martin Luther King holiday, and in honor of your dad. So we're going to kind of unpack some things. There's some people that are probably watching the show like, wait a minute, I really want to know what it's like to grow up in the household. What is it like behind the scenes of civil rights? So that's really what our show is all about. But before we get started, you guys, as always, we will take our break. But before we do our break, we always say our scripture. So, Mr. Scribe, go ahead and take that away.
Our scripture this morning is coming from Philippians, 2nd chapter, the 14th to the 18th verse, and it reads, "Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky, as you hold firmly to the word of life. And then I will be able to boast on the day Christ that I did not run or labor in vain. But even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me."
Awesome and amazing. Thank you, Mr. Scribe. Well, before we get right into our conversation with the Vivians, we're going to go ahead and take our break. Let me pray us out, and then we'll go right into break, Mr. Scribe. Dear Heavenly Father, God, I just want to thank you that you have allowed us to come together on this day that you have made. Thank you, God, that we are able to come together virtually, that we can have a conversation that will put a smile on your face. God, you're an amazing God. You're an on-time God. And what I would like to say, God, is thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done in my life so far and in the lives of others that is represented on this platform. God, I pray that everything that is said will will be a fragrant offering to your nostrils. Thank you, Father, for your Son, Jesus, and it's his name that I pray. Amen. You're listening and watching Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Dexter Moore of Dexter Moore Jazz. Real talk that takes you higher. Level Up on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Nothing excites me more than to see children read the books that I illustrated and helped bring to life. You know, it's the process from start to finish, and you know, at the finish line, you see the children smiling and excited and sharing the stories with other children about, you know, an image or a book that they read. Another thing that gives me joy is working with new and upcoming writers, people who have all these stories that they want to tell and, you know, things that they want to share with the world, you know, just like, you know, me wanting to express myself as an artist and share my expressions. People are doing the same thing with their stories, and to help. I feel like I'm helping making their dream come true.
What you want, baby, I got what you need. I got it. All I'm asking is for the respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, darling, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
Rain Premium Sanitary Napkin. Rain has an innovative design that is made with a strip infused with Nobel Prize-winning material, graphene. The infused graphene strip may provide various health benefits that potentially help relieve painful abdominal cramps, help balance the body's pH, help eliminate harmful bacteria, help with aroma, help fight fatigue, boost metabolism, boost immune system. Graphene moves heat away from your core and contains vibrational energy. In this test, we will add water to the graphene strip and then place a 7-watt light bulb onto the strip to demonstrate the level of energy contained. These medical claims have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All results may vary. Protect the most precious jewel in the world, you. For more information, contact the person who referred you to this video. Rain is exclusively designed by Jewel Sanitary Napkins, LLC.
It's your girl, Minister April Alan Sitmanat, the spiritual soldier. And let's level up on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Constance. Level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey guys, it's your girl V Speak Life, reminding you to speak life, not strife. Right now, I want you to get inspired with Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. on.
My name is Jay Hagler of Diving with a Purpose. Level up each and every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Don't touch that dial.
And welcome back to Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, welcome, welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, Mix 106 radio listener. Sorry. Don't laugh at me, Mr. Scribe. Hey, listen, everybody who is watching on YouTube and Facebook, welcome back. I see a lot of you guys that are saying welcome back to us. Yes, we took a 3-week vacation just to make sure that everyone was well rested and ready for the new year. What I would like to do, first of all, I want to give a couple of shout outs to some people that are already on. Of course, the very first person, Mr. Scribe, I know she was waiting. That is Doris Walker. Thank you, Ms. Doris. Always. Thank you, Ms. Doris, for tuning in. Also want to give a shout out to a Cheryl Kendrick, who is giving a shout out to you, Miss Charisse. He's like, hey, how you doing? Janet Vining, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much, girl. Hey, Charmaine, thank you for tuning in. Also, PC Battle. They're saying, hey, Charisse, how are you doing? So Charisse got a couple of her friends tuning in, and that is very, very exciting. So let's get right into our conversation. What I would like to do, Mr. Scribe, I am going to actually start with Mr. Al Vivian. Mr. Al Vivian, we're going to read some of your bio, okay? Just so some of our people will know who you are and know why, you're such an extraordinary man. Let me tell you guys about Mr. Al Vivian, President and CEO of Basic Diversity, Inc. Over the past 25 years, Al Vivian has been working actively as a trainer and consultant to numerous Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, professional firms, nonprofit, and academic institutions. Al has provided services on 3 different continents. His client list include Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, Ford Motor Company, Walmart, the U.S. Army, and the World Bank. He is regularly sought after by media to provide diversity insights and analysts. Media outlets include CNN, USA Today, New York Times, Atlanta Journal and Constitution, the Chicago Sun-Times, and WSB Radio News. Well, Mr. Vivian, you have been quite active. But before we get into all of what you are doing now what our audience is looking for, they want to get to know Al Vivian. So Al, we go all the way back. Who was Al Vivian? We start at 10 years old. So when you're 10, Al, you were either, look at Mrs. Fry. You were either in the 4th or 5th grade. And that's normally when most of us kind of are aware of things that are going on outside of our nucleus family. You're kind of more aware of, okay, wow, you're heading to a middle school at that age, or you're heading to your last grade in grade school. So Al, what was it like as little tiny Al running around? Because you guys were always in Atlanta, is that correct?
No, we moved a bit. So just give you an idea. So I'm the youngest of all of us, and so I'm the youngest of 7. And so I was born in Chattanooga, went from Chattanooga to Atlanta, Atlanta to Chicago, Chicago to Raleigh, Raleigh to Atlanta, and that was all by the 5th grade. And then from 5th grade, then 5th grade all the way through college, I was here. I was here in Atlanta. But I mean, before I was born, it was before Chattanooga. What? Where were you all, Charisse? You were in. Oh, come on! I'm messing up now. Thank you, in Nashville. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but so
was it by
the 4th grade, 5th grade transition? That's when we were moving from Raleigh, North Carolina, to here. For me, that was when we were in Raleigh. I remember 5th grade Raleigh because I was at a 5th grade center. It was a school that was all 5th graders. I'd never seen that before. It was something they were trying out in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
So Crosby Garfield 5th grade center. And so I went from there to Atlanta. And from Raleigh, in Raleigh, it was the first place I'd ever lived because we were in Chicago before that. So that was the first place I ever lived where you went fishing. So that's why I learned how to fish and went to the creek and, did all of that stuff. It was like Mayberry RFD, kind of thing. never had that before. Now, for me, one of my memories from that age group was for me, but Charisse was dating, had a boyfriend.
Oh, you tell it all. You telling it all
now, Al. So here's the story. So he wanted to take Charisse to the North Carolina State Fair. Do you remember this, Charisse?
Yes, I do.
I'm a guy, and I remember he was a very handsome young man. So I don't know if it's okay if I say his name. Well, I guess it's Reginald Dunstan.
Reginald Dunstan.
Yes. And so my dad, of course, had to meet this guy before he was going to let him take his daughter to the state fair.
Oh.
And so the thing that was so funny about it is he was as tall as Dad. And
He
so
was
this
taller
was
than that.
at the time, Dad was 6 feet tall. So this guy was like
Wow.
6'1". And, right. So I was in the fifth grade. Charisse, you were what, like eighth grade? She was in the eighth grade. So, yeah. And he was 6'1". And so the compromise was he let her go, but they had to take me. And I never knew that that's how I got to go to the state fair until years later. I thought she was just being kind and taking her little brother with her to the state fair. It was like, no, Dad had me as the guy to make sure nothing was happening, you know?
Yep. And
He
look,
said,
but
yep.
I had a similar situation. So I have sisters that are older than me, right? And oh my goodness, Al, I would tell you, we used to get free meals, free events. I remember being the little sister, always going with the big sister on these dates, man. And oh my gosh, I had a ball. Because not only that, this is what we did, Al. We would harass them, right? My little sister, one year younger than me, she's probably watching right now. But we would just sit there and just try to harass them the whole night. Oh, my sister was so mad. I love it. Well, anyway, so moving from there, you were in North Carolina then. So in the 6th grade, were you guys still in North Carolina, or did you guys make another move?
We made the move here. So I was there 5th grade, came here for 6th grade.
Gosh, wow. Now, was that all by design, Al? Because of what your dad was doing with the civil rights movement?
So yeah, we moved a lot because of the civil rights movement. And then when we made the transition from Raleigh to here is when Dad started our company, Basic Diversity. So in Raleigh, he was the dean of the divinity school at Shaw University in Raleigh.
Wow.
Then when he left that job is when he came to Atlanta to start the company Basic Diversity. Actually, at the time, the company name was BASIC, which was an acronym. It standing for Black Action Strategies and Information Center. And so, which went by the acronym BASIC. And so I was, at that time, well, when I got older, went off to college. After college, I was a military officer. So I was an army captain. And Dad did the Oprah show in 1989. And that's when I saw Dad on the Oprah show, that's when I said, hey, I'd rather be doing that. Because I'm that guy I joined the Army because I thought it was my way to contribute back to society. And so my plan was to just go in, because Mom and Dad always stressed that all of us had to do something to give back to society. So I felt that was my way to give back. It was also a way for me to establish a career straight out of college, because I can't think of any other job, any other occupation where straight out of school, straight out of college, you get handed keys to a building, a staff of people, a budget, and people saluting you, calling you sir or ma'am. So I did the Army, and I'd only planned to do 3 years in, and ended up liking it a lot better than I thought I would. Ended up doing 8 years. But when I saw it was time for me to go. I was ready to get out, and then I saw Dad on the Oprah show, and I said, "Oh, there we go. That's what I want to go." I knew what he did. I knew he traveled having these race awareness workshops, but I never knew how he did it. And the moment I saw it, I said, oh, "That's what I'd rather be doing." So I called him that night and said, I called to try to talk to him that night. He was out of town, so I spoke to Mom. And then a couple of days later, I talked to Dad, and Dad said, just because you're my son doesn't mean you're going to be guaranteed a job. So you better make sure you're ready to give up a career before you come and try this out. And so, at first I was like, I was kind of shocked. But then I was like, yeah, I can do this. So then it was, I had a year and a half left on my obligation in the Army. So a year and a half later, 1991 is when I left the Army and came on board with the company. And then I changed the company name from Black Action Strategies and Information Center to Basic Diversity, because I wanted to keep the name Basic because that's how we were known as Basic. But I wanted to also show what we did. We did diversity, and diversity made the transition from just being a black-white issue to being a multiracial issue, and from just being a race issue being the full spectrum of diversity, gender, age, sexual orientation, etc. So I changed the name and came on board then. I don't know how I jumped way back from there to all the way up to current. Oh, because you asked about, the 6th grade and all that other stuff.
Oh, we're gonna circle back around. I'm gonna pull your sister in because I really want to know. As he's talking, Charisse, I'm sure your mind is like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember this. I remember how things were.
Yes.
Okay, so Charisse, he was the little brother, huh?
But because I was 3 years from my sister, and 5 years from my other sister, that we're in the house together. We together all the time, Al, Mark, and myself, because they wouldn't let me go with them. And I would have to tell my mom, they won't let me go. And she would make them take me with them. So Al and I were together a lot.
Yes.
Wow.
In Chicago.
Go ahead.
My father was blackballed in Chicago because he was helping the union. Black people get in with the union. So he was blackballed, and that's how we got to Carolina. That's how we got to North Carolina. And then after that, we moved to Atlanta. He got a job here. So that's how we got. But he was blackballed there. So we had to move, and that's how we got to Carolina.
And see, as the baby who was younger than everybody, I didn't know what was going on. So I didn't know that's why we went from, I still didn't know that until you just said it. That's why we went from Chicago to Raleigh. I just knew we moved to Raleigh.
Yeah.
Well, Charisse, now I want to ask Charisse, so you knew when these transition things was happening, the reasons behind why they were happening, and how did you deal with knowing what it was, and how did you handle that just being a young person?
Well, you really had no choice. You're going to have to move. And my mother always talked to us about the situation and what we were going to have to do. So, of course, I didn't want to move from Chicago. But you won't believe I was in Chicago a lot longer and I had more friends there. But when I went to Raleigh, we had to move 8 months later. A year later, I really didn't want to move at all. I'm tired of moving. I don't want to move. So my friends' mothers told me I could stay with them. So I told my mom, I could stay with Annette Wagner. I need to stay with Annette. She's like, no, you need to go with us.
I can remember saying that kind of stuff back in the day. It don't fly like it do now. You say that, oh, Mama, I'm going to stay with so-and-so, so I can stay with them. I knew that wasn't going to work.
It's not going to work. But because me and Al were together a lot, I wanted to tell you all the story about my dad. When my dad and Al and I would be in the car, when we were really young in Atlanta, the first time we were in Atlanta, he would get to the red light and he would say, this is a long light, isn't it? And Al and I, you remember that, Al? And we would say,
no, I don't.
yes, it is, Dad. And he would say, do you want me to change the light? And we would say, yeah, Dad, change the light, change the light. And Dad would say, change light. And the light would change. We really thought my dad could change the light. So we thought he was larger than life. Not even Superman could change the light. So one day, I realized that Dad couldn't change the light. So I told him, I really don't like you. And he said, well, why don't you like me? I said, because you've been lying to us. And he said, well, what have I been lying about? I said, you can't change no light. And so he just laughed. He used to do this thing. He would take his head back and he would say, no, I can't change the light. But now you're doing what I wanted you to do. You're thinking. If I could change the light, why couldn't you? And I was like, I didn't want to hear that part.
But Charisse, that was a teachable moment, because some of the parents, as you come at them like that, you would get taken into another room and something else would be happening. So you're very fortunate that your dad laughed it off and shared that bit of wisdom, because in some other households, what did you say to me again? Well, I need to see you over here.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we know how to approach him. He was a really nice dad, and we were so blessed to have a dad who allowed, who made life fun, even teachable moments, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that he allowed God to order his steps, it showed you what could happen when you do follow what God asked you to do. And those steps led him into SCLC, where he, under the leadership of Martin Luther King Jr., he and other known and unknown people helped change the light for us as Black people, because they changed it from inequality to equality, from injustice to justice. So you could see, in order, taking God's steps or allowing God to order your steps, that it's probably the best thing for you to do, instead of taking your own division on what you want to do.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead, Al. Please do.
So for me, what Charisse is talking about, all these people known and unknown, but also, and which is so true. There's so many people in the movement that no one ever heard about. But I also like the point out the fact that it was Christ centered. You had a small group of ministers, Black ministers, and this is the part I want people to really understand, who changed the entire course of the most powerful nation on the planet, in the history of the world. Okay, I mean, here you have, without firing a single bullet, without throwing a single punch, they changed the most powerful nation in the world. I mean, every law was designed for segregation. It was the law of the land. They changed that, and that's the testament of how, when God is on your side, how there's nothing you can do, because had they not done this God's way, it never would have worked. Even the whole piece about, people would see them on TV, how, they would peacefully march, even though somebody would hit them. And so, if that was me, I'd have punched them back. I'm like, yeah, and you'd have gotten killed, and no laws would ever been changed. The whole ability to remain peaceful in spite of all that, and as we get ready to celebrate King, we need to remember that it was because it was done decent and in order in God's way, that the victory was won. Just like the Civil War, we won because God was on the side of those who were ending slavery. And so when God is on your side, and you know that, and you're firm in that, you win. And so just this, when she's talking about, because they did things God's way, and that's so true. If they had done it any other way, those of us on this call would not have any rights. But they did it the
absolutely.
way it was done, and that's how the battle was won.
100%. And just the fact that you said that, because we look at, we being believers, look at Jesus. Jesus didn't have to use violence or anything like that to get his point across. And what does he talk about? The whole Bible talks about love. And that's what you said. When your enemies are beating you and persecuting you, you don't respond the way typical man would respond by, oh, how could you let that happen? You respond the way they did. You're going to follow God's direction and take his lead. And behind the scenes, God changed that whole narrative.
And in the end, he will make your enemies your footstool. So, I mean, when you're doing this way, it's going to work.
Let's talk about fast forward to right now.
Well, hang on that thought. We got to.
I got you.
Oh, we definitely going hang on to that thought. We got to pay a couple of bills. But listen, you guys, I want everyone who is watching to be sure that you are sharing this information. Please hit that share button. I see so many of you guys that are hopping on our Facebook pages. You can also watch us on YouTube as well. For those of you who do not, who know people that don't have Facebook, because everybody doesn't have Facebook. I understand. But we are also streaming simultaneously on YouTube. So send them that link to our YouTube channel so they can be a part of this conversation. Well, when we come back, you guys, we want to continue our conversation with the Vivians. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
chills are running up my spine. You make me wanna run and hide. People say to let you go. If only everyone could know. If they could understand my need, they would want you bad as me. I never had a love like yours before. Want you more. Never had enough. How I need you. How I need you. Can't get enough of your love, babe. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? 'Cause I'm needing you. Show me that you do. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Baby, baby. Oh yeah. Ooh, you take me to another world. I know that I'm your favorite girl. But why do I deserve your love? And why do I deserve your trust? I guess you're loving me for me, with all my flaws and everything. I can't explain the joy you bring. I need you in my life. Ooh, you make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so brand new. How I love you, babe, how I do. Love like yours, never had a love. How I need you, how I need you. Can't get enough of you. I can't get enough. Feel it too. Do you feel it? 'Cause I'm needing you. Oh yeah, do. Can't get enough of your love, baby. Ooh, you make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so brand new. How I love you, babe, how I do. You make me wanna be a better version of me, with the things you say and the things you do. And you make me feel so real and so new. Love like yours, I never had a love. I need you, how I need your love of your love. I can't get enough. Your love, babe, your love, babe, your love too. Can't get enough of your love, babe. I can't get enough. Oh, 'cause you make me feel so real.
Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, things just still go wrong?
Many times.
What do you do?
I let go and let God.
All I'm asking from you is to bump up our credit limit to where it was.
It's declined.
We're experiencing some financial hardships at the moment.
You have 6 days to make payment.
I can't believe this is happening.
You know, I never asked you to pray with me.
It's you and me. We got this. God wants to help you, Peter.
Excuse me?
But you're not letting him in.
I did once. Last time we spoke, you took a man away from me I loved dearly. From that day, I swore to take matters into my own hands. But I don't know what to do.
I know that you don't believe, but I will pray for you.
I love you so much.
Capimo.
It's a miracle. You believe in miracles?
Listen, if you need me, you call me.
the angels in heaven are rejoicing, you gotta know that everything is gonna be okay.
Hey, this is Nolan Holloway, aka Mr. Scribe. Just letting you know that I have 3 books of poetry that's available on Amazon.com. So when you get a chance, go to Amazon.com, look up Nolan P. Holloway Jr., not Mr. Scribe, and pick up one of my books for your enjoyment. Peace.
Kimia Arrington is a career empowerment speaker, business strategist to career professionals and employed entrepreneurs who are building their businesses while working demanding full-time job as well as a visionary event producer. She is on a mission to help the massive take career control by positioning them to transition into careers, businesses and life they love on their terms. Kim certainly affirms that you can love your Mondays by doing only the work you desire and enjoy. Who says you can't love your Mondays? Kim affirms that you most certainly can.
Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled treasures, exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
It's your girl, Dr. Monique Frazier, owner of Prestige Decor and More. Let's level up on Sundays, 3 to 6 p.m. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Hey guys, vibe with Mr. Scribe on Level Up.
You're listening to Level Up with Dr. Deb Armstrong.
This is Allison Feliciano. Listen or watch Level Up each and every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Keep it locked right here.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everybody that is watching on Facebook, I just want to let you guys know that you also can watch on our YouTube channel. And who is watching on our YouTube channel is Joe Walker and Gail Williams. I just want to thank all of those people that have gone on over to our YouTube channel. What I would like for everyone who is watching on Facebook, head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, because there'll be more things that we'll be doing on our YouTube channel as opposed to our Facebook channel. And I don't want you guys to miss not a moment of this zany crowd right here. All right, let's get right back into our conversation, you guys. Who we have in the studio by way of Blue Jeans, because we are being COVID compliant. Before I even mention that to them, I just want to let everybody know, you're looking at, if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook, you may not believe it, but I am going through COVID right now. Yes, I am positive, even as we speak. And the reason why I made a decision to let everybody know, what is going on with me. As you guys can see, I am in my home studio. I'm being quarantined here at my house. And I'm actually saying that because, as you guys know, here on Level Up, we are all about being real and talking to you guys about what's really going on in our lives. I was diagnosed maybe about 3-4 days ago, and had no idea that I had the virus. But that is the reason why we are saying to everyone, please take this serious. Please take this serious. How I contracted the virus was at work, and I let my guard down. And that's where we absolutely cannot do that, my brothers and sisters, especially those who are saying Jesus is Lord. I've gotten the scolding of my life from all of my family and friends, which I well deserve it. But I just, took upon myself that I thought I was a little bit more safe in my office environment. As you guys know, I work in the office and I drive a school bus for one of the counties here in Georgia. Well, I was all masked up and fortified on my school bus, but when I went into the office, I let my guard down, and that's where it caught me. So I'm sharing that with you guys because I don't want anyone to continue to go out here and not keep your guard up while we're going through this pandemic. My biggest fear from having the virus is infecting other people. So as soon as I found out that I was exposed to the virus in my office setting, I took it upon myself to immediately quarantine, although they didn't quarantine me at the time. I went ahead and quarantined myself because I work with a lot of people, especially in our church, who are up in age. I took it upon myself to, do some of their grocery shopping, do some of their errands so that they wouldn't have to go out. And I thought I was doing the right thing as far as doing that kind of service for our elderly. But lo and behold, once I found out that I was exposed, I said, nope, I'm not going to see anyone. Let me self-quarantine. And thank God I did, because I did not get the diagnosis until a few days later. Here's what happened to me. I was exposed on Thursday. I took a test on Tuesday, and it said negative. To take another, it was actually Friday, this past Friday. I took another test this past Friday, and there's where I got the positive results. So why am I sharing that with everyone? I want you guys to take it that serious. Take it that serious. If you are out and about, I took it upon myself, because I am a school bus driver, to always get tested and retested because of the work that I do for my my family and friends who are up in age. So I'll say I'm doing okay. All it feels like for me at the moment, it feels like a cold. But I am taking a lot of vitamins to keep my immune system boosted. And one of the things that you guys already knew about me, based on if you have been following me for years, I'm slowly changing my diet. But this was a shot in the arm. And what I have been doing is really changing my diet. A friend of mine say, eat the rainbow. If we do that, about our diet, ladies and gentlemen, if we eat the rainbow and keep our bodies fortified and highly alkaline, listen, lemon water can do it. Drink lemon water, because that will keep your body alkaline, and no virus can live in an alkaline state. So I wanted to share that with everyone. And let you guys know, let us continue to be careful and take care of one another. We've got to do that. We've got to take care of one another. And that's why we are wearing our masks. That's why we're wearing our shield. That's why we're changing our diet. That's why we're doing it. It's not just for us to live a little bit longer on this earth, but it's also to take care of our brothers and sisters. And if you missed what we had talked about in our previous segment, we're going right into that conversation. How do we take care of one another? And Al, I just want to get right back to, look, you were going right back into that conversation of what it was like when your dad was in the civil rights movement. It wasn't about them. It really was about what they can do for the country at large, and for each of their brothers and sisters who are right next to one another. I just wanted you to, share a little bit more for those who just are just now tuning in and might have missed that. Please, kind of recap a little bit And let's have a little conversation about what's going on in the world even today.
You know, it's I'm looking at something I've been talking about for the past. Well, I've been doing the diversity work now for 29 years, but I would say for the past 8 to 10 years, I've been paying a lot of attention to white supremacist groups, and actually, Dad was on the forefront of that. So in 1978, Dad started an organization called the National Anti-Klan Network, which is now known as the Center for Democratic Renewal. So even then, he was talking about the need to have an eye on them. And here we have now where, because a lot of the people that commandeered the Capitol, you know, last week, there was a large number of white supremacists involved in that group. And so we have got to keep our eyes on what's going on. The law enforcement agencies, as well as the military, have been inundated as of late with white supremacist group members. There was a FBI FBI report that came out in in 06, that talked about the rise of white supremacist groups, how part of their strategy was to infiltrate, to become members of law enforcement agencies so that they could indiscriminately kill people of color and never be held accountable. And when the report was put out, because the way the report was written, it said far right-leaning groups. And as a result of that, the right side of the political scene, conservatives said, how dare you say that? That's like saying that conservatives are white supremacists, and they pushed back, and then the FBI shut up, and nobody was ever told about the report, so the data didn't go out there, and nothing was really done. And then 10 years later, 2016 was when we saw the largest number of unarmed blacks and browns being killed by, for the most part, white police officers. And so there's so much going on with the supremacist movement that we have to keep our eye on. And so now people are finally starting to pay attention as they overrun the U.S. Capitol. And let's be honest about that. So I'm just going to go out there and say it. If there had been black folk, they'd have been shot.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not.
They would not have been allowed to get that close to the Capitol. And definitely after they got in, the treatment would have been very different. They were taking selfies. They were escorting people out. They were walking away peacefully. The president does a video that says, "We love you, go home." No, it would have been like, okay, let's clean up the bodies. You know, if it had been us. And let's just being very real about that. And so the correlation between the past and the present, we have rights now that we never had before. But if you also pay close attention, you'll notice that a lot of those rights have been taken away over the past 10 or so years. Voting rights restricted in a massive way. The whole voter ID law thing, that was all about suppressing the black vote. It's the way the districts are gerrymandered, the way the lines are drawn. I saw a special. They showed one college campus, historically black college campus. If you're in one part of the campus, you're in one district. You're in another part of the campus, you're in a different district. And that was by design. How the lines are drawn. Even what's seen as a valid ID varies from state to state. So, example, the state of Texas, if you had a student ID from a school, if it was not a government school, if it wasn't like a state school, in other words, it was an HBCU, your ID didn't count as a valid ID to register and go vote. But what was categorized as a valid license, a valid ID to register to vote, is a gun license. Now, who's more likely to have a gun license, Pookie or Bubba? It's going to be Bubba. And so all of that was racially motivated, and that stuff continues to this day, but it's done in a way to where people don't notice how well it's being done. Even how during the 2020 campaign,
right?
Under the guise that people were going to cheat and vote unfairly, they changed where you could go vote in advance. Early voting in the state of Texas, there was only one voting poll place per county. In other words, for early voting. for mail-in, early voting, and drop-off. In other words, some people had to drive 200 miles to vote if they wanted to vote early. Now, the early vote was overwhelmingly Black and Latino. You suppress that by making it harder for people to do that. And so there's so much of those things going on today that people are not paying attention to. And so the correlation of the past to the present is we're going back to some of the same things. It's just done way more subtle. Because in the past, it was easy to say, we're not going to let those people vote. We don't want those people around. Well, now you can't say that. You just redistrict. You change the way the voting laws are done and carrying out the same thing. So bringing Dad into this, Dad and I were doing an interview for StoryCorps, which is part of public broadcasting, and this is when they were bringing StoryCorps nationally, so they were going to major cities to have people who were well known be interviewed by somebody that they knew, a family member, a friend. So they had me interviewing Dad, and I asked Dad the question. I said, so as one of the last living members of ML King's executive team, I know the advice you gave me as to what I should do to survive as a Black male in America. What advice would you give to my sons, your grandsons, as to how to survive in America?
Yes.
And his response totally shocked me. I thought he was going to lay out, here's what you should do. He said, well, son, I don't know. And so I go, you don't know? I'm like, oh, I get it. Because my generation was the first generation to grow up with rights, that things have changed. So you don't know if the advice that worked there. He says, no, son, I don't know if the advice we gave you was the best advice because of that. But then he added this, and this is what shocked me. And I wanted to say when he said it, my initial thought was, Dad has lost his mind. But of course, I didn't say that because we're on air. And so we're being recorded. And so what he said was, and please hear this when I say this, because it might hit you the way it hit me when I first heard it. He said, son, I'm not too sure that white America will want democracy when they're no longer the majority.
Oh, wow.
And I said to myself, he's lost his mind. What the heck is Dad thinking?
Wow.
And just a few years later, I saw the voting rights bill gutted. I saw voter ID laws put in place. I saw redistricting on hyperspeed. And then I had to stop and go, Dad knew exactly what he was talking about. I'm the one that was missing it big time because I didn't want to fathom that could even be possible. Which is why I'm so happy for Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
Because without that done, a lot of us would not have been able to really vote. And so there's so much going on today that people are missing because it's not blatant, it's subtle. We no longer have the signs that say white only, colored only. We just manipulate it so it ends up the same way in many areas of this country, actually everywhere in the country. You know, there's so many, the school systems, literally, the public school systems in America today are as segregated now as they were in 1968. And people need to stop and think about that and hear that. So stuff is done in a way that's so subtle, but it's still having some of the same end results. And if you're not aware, if you're not paying attention, if you're not searching for the data, you'll never know it.
That's why we as believers have to be aware and be wise and discerning when certain things are taking place and not be asleep, as we would say, being woke and understanding that these are things that, God can do anything, but using us as instruments to put the information out there. And the truth is the truth. We've seen how many times that the truth is spun in such a way that, let's heal, let's do these things, and just watching it play out. It's amazing to me. I was born in the late 50s, so I grew up as a teenager in the 70s. So a lot of stuff I didn't know because I wasn't called the N-word and I didn't see certain things. But as I've gotten older, like you said, Al, in reference to how it's done, you go for a job interview. When I graduated from college, those little buzzwords, we need an all-American candidate, all these type of things. When I got to that, and my realization happened really quickly. I was taking a course in college, and I had an African-American professor who grew up in Mississippi, and he would tell us stories about how hard it was for him to get his thesis. He did his whole thesis, handed it in, It was told it was no good. It was over 900 pages. He had to redo it. Then he talked about the glass ceiling. I'm like, glass ceiling? What is he talking about? And I'm a finance major. So I'm thinking I'm going to go out in the business world and do, and he crushed my dreams almost. Hey, do you think you're going to be invited to the golf course or the country club to make major corporate decisions? He challenged me. Go out and get 5 companies in the United States and tell me what you see. I got Chrysler, IBM, and a couple of others. And when I opened the book, what did I see when I looked at the board of directors and the guys that was running those particular companies? I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I'm like, you trying to depress me? I'm ready to change my major. He says, no, you don't want to do that. You want to be faithful and choose your path. I'll turn it back to you guys.
Yeah, and I just adding on to that piece about us as believers, we also have to call out evil. And so many are not calling out evil because in a nation that is a democracy, it is evil to steal someone's right to vote. There's nothing more un-American than stealing the right to vote in a democracy. And so we have to call out evil, and quite often we don't. Now, I'm not saying, there's no all to anything. I'm not talking about calling people out of their name, but pointing out unfair things, pointing out undemocratic things in a democratic society is our responsibility.
What did King talk about as we grew up learning about Dr. King? If you know something's wrong and you stay quiet, you're complacent. What have we just seen in front? We're experiencing complacency. Oh, we kind of knew he was like that, but we thought that he would work it out somehow. I don't have to name names, but these people, just like, here's the thing that scares me for my own life. Each and every one of us have to give an account, and we've got to stand before our maker one day and basically explain our actions. So when you get up in front of him and say, you knew it was wrong, why didn't you do something about it? They're going to try to make excuses, try to get around it, but at that particular juncture, there's no way around it. That puts the fear in me to make sure that my situation is handled properly. So in other words, I kind of feel sorry for them because they'll keep denying. But one day there's going to be a reckoning. And what does the Bible say? Gnashing of teeth, nervousness, anxiety, all of those different things are going to take place because people think that, oh, I don't have to say nothing. I can just sit back and let things happen. You're going to have to explain why.
Be ye hot or be ye cold, but be ye lukewarm, I will spew you out of my mouth.
Well, Charisse, what are your thoughts? I want to get some of your thoughts before we head to break. We got about another 3 minutes.
Firmly agree with everything they said. And if we don't look carefully at what's going on in the society, especially today, it's going to get worse. The fact that they just walk these people out of the Capitol, and I hate that they keep calling them rioters. They were not rioters. They weren't there to riot. They were there to take over the government.
Right.
And there's a difference between someone who's rioting and someone's there to take over the government.
Wow, good point. Good point. Yeah, because they were actually on their way to overthrow the government and move. Literally, physically move people out and away. And it just kind of, when I was looking at all of that, it just kind of brought me back to, what was going on in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You want to use your guns and your rifle instead of your faith in God. And so when we come back on the other break, I definitely want to, touch more about this and, the work that your dad has done and his legacy. His legacy will forever live on in our hearts because we have people that remember. We have people like you guys that can stand and say, hey, I remember when Dad said this. And Al, great testimony, because sometimes we don't know a thing when it's told to us, at one juncture, but then as we grow and mature, God makes it all, open all the things up so that we can understand. And I think we are still in those times right now where God is going to eventually open some things up, and we've got to stand like Mr. Scribe was saying, we've got to stand in the correct position to do the will of God no matter what, just like they did back in the 60s. All right, when we come back from our break, we will have more conversation. And coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we will have Lisa McNair that will be coming on the platform. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, when we had our pre-show with the three of these guys, I had a ball yesterday. So I don't want you guys to miss the Vivians and Lisa McNair. Watch that interaction with the three of them, you guys. I love it. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry?
Yeah. Woke up in the morning, steady yawning, roaming through the thoughts in my head, in my bed, trying to figure out if my life was the next step. It's just one of them days. I don't wanna be seen, no need for the sun rays. Y'all don't really wanna feel my pain. If I died tomorrow, y'all wouldn't care, no way. Just me, myself, and I, and all the lies the enemy makes me believe them. But no matter how hard I try, I can't deny it's life worth living next season. I don't wanna be here no more. Tell me, is it the best of my life gets? I just wanna call it quits right now. Go into town, I ain't even made it out of bed yet. Hey.
Darkness, could anybody hear my cry? My cry. If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? Hear my cry.
Lord, take me away, I don't wanna feel it no more, cause the pain won't go. Don't nobody wanna hear me complain, that's a lot the front door. Feeling so low, I don't wanna waste your time, so I think that it's best I go. Should I take these pills, should I grab that blade? Matter of fact, think I got a gun in the top drawer. Yeah. Tell my mama that I love her, I ain't mean to bring tears, and my pops been gone, but deep down I be wishing that my daddy's still here. The girl that broke my heart, I apologize that I wasn't worth your time. So as I take this 9 with the tears in my eyes, Holy Spirit says,
if I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? If I scream in the darkness, could anybody hear my cry? Hear my cry. I cry alone when I'm far from home, when all I can do is sit in silence. If I call on you, will you ignore me too? I'm desperate to be rescued. I'm trying to scream in the darkness. Could anybody hear my cry?
Long enough that you've been walking around in the wilderness trying to figure out, who am I? Why am I here? What gifts do I have to make a difference? Well, it's time to warm it up. Discover your true identity. Unleash your gifts and impact the world to become a more bolder, braver, and courageous you. Join me, Kathy Hood, at a life-changing workshop, Woman Up, the journey of owning your power and unleashing your true self.
Have you been sluggish, bloated, overweight? You could be toxic from your environment, food, and medications. It's time for a clean start. Come by or book online today.
Hello, my name is Rodney Damon Collins. I'm an actor, producer, author, and speaker. I'm excited to share my first book entitled Shattered: A Journey Through the Pieces. I wrote this book because there are millions of people like me in this world who are searching for purpose while navigating emotional distress. This book is for anyone who wants to be the producer of their own life. The reader will be encouraged to know that if they, 1, keep God first, 2, learn how to make peace with the pieces in our lives, and finally 3, never deter from your dreams, that you will see your purpose fulfilled. I love you, and go grab this book on Amazon.com, Shattered: A Journey Through the Pieces.
These issues of pain, you have these issues of heavy blood flow. It's almost like you are a prisoner. You know, I felt like a prisoner. The calendar was a very big deal to me because I would plan my life around my period. UFE is a great procedure. It's an awesome procedure. So when I heard about it and I was a candidate, I was doing a happy dance because I was like, now I'm going to be able to live and be free.
Hey, this is Shay Bynes with Kingdom Driven Entrepreneur. Let's level up. Tune in every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
It's your girl, Chantel Charisma. Let's level up on Sundays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Dr. Kishana. Level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Rodney Damon Collins, inviting you to level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, if you guys are watching on Facebook, did you know you can also watch this show while it's going on YouTube? I would love for everyone to head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. There will be more things that we'll be doing throughout the year. Actually, Level Up has done an about face. As you guys can see that each and every one of us are being COVID compliant. And every last one of us on this radio show, on this broadcast, is broadcasting from the comfort and safety of our own homes. Yes, indeed. What are you trying to say, Mr. Scribe? What?
You can see from my background, my virtual background, I'm out in the city just hanging out.
Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay. Anyway, before we went to our break, you guys, we had a really great candid conversation with the Vivians in the studio. About, like I said, by way of Blue Jeans is Al Vivian and Charisse Vivian Thornton. They are the children of the late great C.T. Vivian, and my, you guys, all I can say for both of you, whether you like it or not, you know how sometimes you're like, I'm not going to do what mom, dad does. Well, that was me. And it ended up being that every last one of my mom, my dad, my grandparents, they were educators. Guess where I ended up? in education. So, you only do what you are actually used to doing. I went back into education after, the tumble of, oh gosh, 2006, 7. Y'all remember that? 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10? Yeah. So I came out of my corporate job into education and haven't looked back since. So, Al, as you were talking about, education, I caught what you said about this one because in actuality, I am starting to see that as I am, growing in my education career. I am starting to see how, schools are one of the most segregated institutions in our nation right now, and it's getting more and more segregated because, like you said, the drawing of the lines is making that happen. I'm flabbergasted because what happened with us trying to become a nation as one, and as we grow in all of this and everything that's going on today, it seems like things are getting more and more segregated. But what I have to say, and I will always hang my hat on this, is my faith in God. So in the civil rights movement, that is what was the foundation of what Martin Luther King and others, that's how they grew the foundation of the civil rights based on their faith. Yes. So I just want to, just kind of point out, some of the things that we had said earlier on our previous segment before we went to break. Wow. Pay attention, and even more so now. This is one of the things I'm starting to see around our nation. We can't only just vote. We've got to get more involved. And how do we get more involved? I mean, what are some of the things that, I'm throwing out the question to all three of you guys at this point. What are some of the things that you guys can see, especially as brothers and sisters in Christ? What are some of the things that we can actually start to do to get involved? Think about that spirit of the civil rights movement, where there were more people that just paid attention and got more involved, and was not about me. It's quite hard these days because the kids that are growing up in these schools right now, and some that are beyond, to be honest, it has been proven that a lot of our young people are about us. But I am starting to see that there is a groundswell of those that are saying to one another, okay, there's something that needs to take place outside of my little bitty world. How do I get involved? What would be some of your advice to, if there's 20 somethings that are listening to this broadcast right now?
That's for all of us. What do you think, Charisse? I think I'm talking too much, so I don't want to.
He's trying to give you the mic, Charisse. Come on, Charisse. You got
too much, but I would say most definitely vote. And then we saw this summer or this spring or summer during COVID, we saw a lot of young Black people out there voting, and out there marching because of injustices. And I was very happy to see that. And I said happened at the right time because people didn't have to go to work. People didn't have to worry about other things. They were marching to let you know there are injustices. And I think the only thing a lot of them saw it, and they went out and they protest and they did what they were supposed to do. The only thing was a lot of times it was a little more violent than it should have been. But when you're angry, that's what happens. And some people are more angry than others because they have been left out more so than others. So everybody had the right to do what they felt. But I think you have to pull back on the anger and just show your force, your power in the force, non-violently.
I agree with that. But I was going to say as well, with Charisse was saying that a lot of the protests were peaceful, but then you had agitators to change the narrative. Every time you try to do something that is going to be a positive, you always got the enemy using other means to undermine what these young folks were doing. The young folks were being peaceful. Yeah, there was some that was doing certain things because the anger was there, because you get to the point where, we're human and everybody gets pushed. Everybody has that line, some more further than others, where you go, you know what? You can push me as far as you can push me. I'm in the corner. I'm going to come out. But a lot of that, the narrative I've heard was agitators infiltrating with their agenda to make the protests look like, you see, look how they act. Look how they do when you give them an opportunity to do something to change the narrative. And that's what people want. They want to go, you see, we can't give them an opportunity to do that because look how they act. So that changes the directive. So now we need to do certain things like I was talking about. Those little subtle things to undermine what a true democracy is supposed to be.
Well,
I agree, and I think we should also go into Black Lives Matter, join an organization that's going to keep it on the positive and that's going to be able to do something to really bring change. Black Lives Matter, the Voting Rights Act, anything. The National Center for Civil and Human Rights, wherever. Join something that's going to help you do something positive to that extent that you need to make a change.
That's why their mission statements and their directives have to be very clear, because look what happens with the Black Lives Movement. The spin on that, which I'm going to go back to how things are put spin on. Oh, they're a political organization. Oh, they're trying to undermine it, do all these different things. And that's not what they were about. They weren't about that at all. And if you go to people who don't read or who don't try to educate themselves, they're going to believe the false narrative that they put out there.
And I would add to that that if you're trying to fix a problem that can be fixed via politics, then politics has to be involved. Even though they're not a political organization, they have to influence those who have political power so that real change can come about. When the mention of the school system was also talked about, our education system doesn't really teach American history. We teach American mythology. And until we teach real American history, when people if we were to show people the real history of America, then whites would not be confused when African Americans, Latinos, and Asians are upset, because they would know our real full history. But we don't teach that. We gloss over all of that. So people are confused now. Well, why are you all so angry? Well, let's look at our history, and that will answer that question for you.
Wow, good point. Good point. And I love what my pastor, Gary Burke of Lakewood Church of Hope, he said in his sermon today. It's time out that a lot more of us get involved, especially involved, even if it's sitting at the dinner table with our young people, because they have the energy and the zeal. But it's time for us to, actually try to mold and guide them as it was in the civil rights. Because what I understand, there are more meetings about being organized in what they were trying to do than the event itself. They got together on a regular basis, planning and plotting out what they will do. And even to the point of, well, if it breaks out in violence, what will we do as the nucleus, as the core? We will remain peaceful. We will not retaliate, because it will bring nothing more than a big brawl, and we're getting nowhere still. So, yeah, I do applaud each and every one of our young folks who are already doing it, because I don't want to sit here and say that there's no one that's doing it. We just need to continue to have these conversations and involve more of our young people and guiding them in the right direction, and not all about anger. Yes, we can be angry, but we also can continue to do everything in peaceful protests. We don't want to go right back to what happened January 6th. That will go down in history as one of the things that, what happened to American politics. It went in the wrong direction. But like you were saying, though, Al, there are a lot of things that, turned heads. Someone didn't speak up, and it's time out for all of that. It is time for us, especially as those who call Christ Lord, that it's time for us to speak up and speak out, like the civil rights movement.
And as with the civil rights movement, there'll be no positive change until there are a large number of whites involved as well.
Oh, gosh.
And that is a fact. And so unless we're all working well together, if we don't use the full power of the body of Christ, that's all of those white, black, Latino, Asian, etc., that are within the body, then nothing's really going to change. It can't be one group pushing it. It's got to be all.
It's got to be all. And thank you for bringing that up, because you're right, especially in the civil rights movement. It wasn't just all people of color. There were Caucasians that were there supporting it. And like you said before, there are so many people that didn't have the face. There were certain people that had the face of the civil rights movement, but there were so many people in the background that was keeping this movement going and watching and learning. And like you said, Mr. Scribe, reading up on, the things that, wait a minute now. I read that in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Perhaps we need to pay attention to the movement of this group, because it had been said that such and such and so is making a move that is not about democracy. It is not about the people as a whole.
We can also look at it in a way like when Christ first came, he went directly to his people, the Jewish people, to give his message and say that you're the chosen one. I made promises to your ancestors that you would be the chosen people. When they rejected him, what did he do? Just like what Al just said, he went to the Jews, but then he went to the Gentiles as well. So in order he brought them all together, Jews and Gentiles combined. So the same thing with the civil rights. It can't be all African American. It has to be a conglomerate of people that only then, as Al said, the only way things are going to get resolved is everybody's involved, not just a particular group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for the most part, in our generation, Generation X, most of us, we sit close to, that we have had, dinner conversations with, and having those hard talks with them to help them to understand that this is the reason why these things are happening, and the thought process behind it is having these one-on-one intimate conversations with people of non-color, helping them to understand. Because I've had several of my friends just like, okay, Angee, I had one good friend of mine just called me out of the blue. We had been friends for years, and as she's looking and seeing everything, she picked up the phone and just said, "Hey, Angee, I just want to get your heart on how things are going. What are some of the things that you are feeling about all of this?" And my main point is that if people who are Caucasian will just do what you're doing, start there, start having the conversations that will enlighten you on what is in my heart and what is in the heart of those that are around me. Because of course, we talk with one another all the time, but when we start talking to the people of Caucasian race, helping them to understand that this is what is really on my heart and deep on my heart. One of the things that I said to her, I am concerned for my two sons. What I do talk to my sons about is being careful out there. And that might not even cross your mind. Being careful out there and making sure that you just get home safe. The conversation is different with my two sons than maybe with your son. But you know what? When you have those deep down, in-depth conversations and you understand, then you can take my conversation that I'm having with you to your dinner table. to a whole, family group that you sit with at the dinner and say, hey, just had a conversation with Angee, and here's some of the things that I never thought about, because that's not my world. And what she did say, she said, you know what? I need to come up out of my world a little bit to understand. Now that I had this conversation with you, Angee, I need to come up out of my comfort level, my comfort zone, to really understand what is really going on and what's happening out there.
Yeah.
I think that's what it takes. So yeah. Go ahead, Al. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that you're right. That is what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I just want to actually turn the conversation. 5 more minutes. Thank you. Okay, 5 more minutes to break. I wanted to turn the conversation because I had a few people like, hey, you didn't read Charisse's bio. Charisse, better late than never. So who is on the platform with us, you guys, is Charisse Vivian Thornton. She is the 5th child of 6 children born to Olivia Vivian and Dr. Reverend, like I said, C.T. Vivian. She was born in Nashville, Tennessee, and currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Charisse graduated from Morris Brown College with a B.S. in Business Administration. After a successful career in retail management, sales, and marketing, she followed her passion in civil liberties. Charisse now works for the National Center of Civil and Human Rights. Her simple pleasures in life are traveling, bowling, gardening. She has been married for Andre Thornton for 29 years, and they have a son, Andre II. All right, so Charisse, I just got to ask you this, because when I read your bio before, that you are now at the National Center of Civil and Human Rights. Before we go to break, I just wanted you to just kind of, speak to our audience for those who may not know about this entity that's located here in Atlanta. And I wanted you to just speak to our audience about that.
It's a National Center for Civil and Human Rights, and it really deals about with Atlanta and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the time in civil rights during that era. And the people who were involved, the people who were murdered, the people who have led the way up until the present time. It's an excellent museum. It's really a museum, but it's called the Center for Civil and Human Rights.
It is an excellent museum. And I had the privilege, Charisse, of visiting that at 3 or 4 times. And, just the displays that you guys have put on. And not only that, you guys have events. You guys put on events as well, correct?
Uh-oh, I think she froze.
She got frozen a little bit.
We may have lost her for a second.
Okay.
Here she goes.
Can you hear us now?
Charisse?
Yeah, she might have froze up. All right. Well, we got to take our break at this moment in time. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you did not know, we are streaming on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you would like to watch us on YouTube as well, head on over to The Real Level Up. That's where you guys can find and watch us there. I noticed that everybody doesn't have Facebook. So if you have family and friends that would love to watch this show as we are streaming live, send them over to The Real Level Up on YouTube. I just have a couple of people that are on right now. Just want to give a shout out to Marcia Wilkerson and Deanna Joe Vivian. Do you guys happen to know that person?
That would be
and Angee. Yep. And let me add, Angee, these folks are so technically savvy that they're taking it from their laptops and converting it onto their smart TVs. So they're sitting in their living room looking at us on television. So that's kind of nice to know that we're not just on laptops, we're on smart TVs as well.
Well, We're on smart TVs, and I can actually say my mom is watching as well. Thank you, Miss Winifred Smiley. If I did not give her a shout out, I would hear about it. She is actually watching it on her big TV. So she's watching us like we are television. So isn't that interesting? Well, listen, you guys, we're going to go ahead and take our break. Up next, we have Lisa McNair, who will be coming on the call. You guys, I'm so excited about Lisa. And let me tell you something. When Lisa came on the pre-show with the Vivians, oh my goodness, they had me in stitches. I tell you what. So you guys don't want to miss Lisa, who is the sister of Denise McNair. All right, if you guys don't know who that is, stay tuned. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Everybody wanna talk about the way this world is turning now. I think it's time to find another way. Don't talk it, just walk to bring about change between me and you. Let's love each other in a better way. So you shout, shout, shout to shake the walls that were created. Throw him out, 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 so we can all just come together. And no doubt, doubt, then we can work this thing together. We can see a brighter day. Ain't no time for sleeping. Praise is what we're needing. Simply cast your cares away. Jesus, it's your answer. Praise him with your dancers. Go on and cast your cares away. So cast your cares away. Ooh, get you feel it in the air. Live, laugh, loving is everywhere. Shining out on us like the perfect sun. The sun came to say seeing you. Let's all take a minute and praise him too. In his holy name, let's have some fun. As we shout, shout, shout. Holy Spirit's got us dancing. We're wilding out, out, out. And the joy keeps it dancing. Ain't no doubt, doubt, doubt that we can all just live together. Simply cast your cares away. Ain't no time for sleep.
Ikemia Arrington is a career empowerment speaker, business strategist to career professionals and employed entrepreneurs who are building their businesses while working demanding full-time job, as well as a visionary event producer. She is on a mission to help the massive take career control by positioning them to transition into careers, businesses, and life they love on their terms. Kim certainly affirms that you can love your Mondays by doing only the work you desire and enjoy. Who says you can't love your Mondays? Kim affirms that you most certainly can.
What you want, baby, I got what you need. You know I got it. All I'm asking is for the respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, darling, I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
Men's and women's wear has statement pieces or full head-to-toe custom design. It's the personal styling service customized to your fit, lifestyle, and budget. Hi, I'm Marion Boyd, CEO and your designer guide for success. Contact me at 770-402-0730 Eastern Standard Time from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. only. I'm on Facebook at Marion G. Boyd or Instagram at Marion_Collection1. Get in, my people.
Unveiled Treasures Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled Treasures. Exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
Is a nonprofit 501c3 community-based organization providing holistic health and wellness with locations in Marietta and Metro Atlanta. Our qualified behavioral health professionals provide extensive counseling and treatment in substance abuse, mental health, and opioid addiction. Someone Cares offers a variety of services, and our professionals are waiting to serve you. We are not just an agency, we are a friend.
You are listening to Level Up with Sisters of the Skies Incorporated.
This is Terrell Murphy. Get inspired with Level Up, real talk that takes you higher.
Hey, this is Richard Shaw Jr. Make sure you're believing again. Also, Level Up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Hey, this is Santa Kerr. Level Up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Don't touch that dial.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that Takes You Higher. I am your host, Angee from the V. Welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, everyone who is watching us on Facebook, did you know that you can head on over to YouTube? And when you do, please hit that subscribe button. There will be more things that we will be doing on our YouTube channel, so I don't want any of you guys to miss not one event. All right, well, we are coming back into our conversation, and in the studio, who has just joined us is Lisa McNair. How are you, Lisa? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. How are you? You're still on mute. Can't hear you.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I thought that was unmuted. Sorry.
It happens to the best of us. You know?
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Don't feel bad, Lisa. We've had other folks do the same thing, so you're not alone.
Okay, good.
Well, listen, while I got you on, and I got all three of you guys on, oh my goodness, we had such a wonderful time yesterday for our pre-show. And I told you, didn't I tell you guys? I said, now that is Level Up. So I just want to introduce everyone to Lisa. Mr. Scribe, can you do the honors of introducing our viewing audience to Lisa McNair?
Right on the spot. You know I don't have the You know I don't have the bio ready, so I guess I'm gonna have to get some demerits. Since I don't have. Well, you keep talking, Angee. I'll find the bio.
Okay. Well, listen, while he is looking for the bio, because listen, Lisa, I want his voice to read your bio, okay? But what I would like to do is I would like to first of all thank the Vivians for coming on the show. You guys have blessed us beyond what you guys can ever imagine, and just sharing candidly your life growing up as being children of the great C.T. Vivian. Thank you guys. Is there anything that you would love for our viewing audience to know that what you guys are doing? Because what I always ask, turning your passion into your purpose. I definitely see that both of you guys are well on your way of taking your passion and presenting your purpose to our audience.
So is there anything I'd like to say to the audience? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Where can they find you? Where can they, get in contact with you if they would like to? Some of the things that you are doing with your life now that the viewing and listening audience would need to know.
Basicdiversity.com is where you can find us. We do diversity consulting and training. I would say just thing for the people to know is just always walk in love.
Yeah, always. And I think you're Charisse, I think you're ready. You're good to go. I know you're kind of going in and out. Where can everybody find you? Of course, you're at the Civil Rights Museum. Is that correct? I think she's still going in and out. But that's definitely
Yeah, I have the bio, Angee, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, that's definitely where you guys can find Charisse is at the Civil and Human Rights Museum located here in Atlanta. If you guys have any questions in regards to what we talked about, head on over to The Real Level Up on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll be taking more of your questions and comments right there. So, without further ado, we will go ahead and introduce Miss Lisa McNair.
Well, she's got an extensive bio, so I'll just hit on the high points.
You don't have to read all of it.
No, it's very impressive as I'm sitting here looking at it. So I will pick and choose. But the first part, I think, is needs to be heard. Public speaker, civil rights family member, and an activist. Birmingham native Lisa McNair is the oldest living daughter of Maxine and the late Chris McNair, who are the parents of Denise McNair. Denise is one of the 4 girls killed in the infamous 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Denise was the only child at the time of her death. Almost exactly 1 year from the day of Denise's murder, Lisa was born.
Wow, Lisa. Girl, welcome to the show. And I don't know. We did our pre-show, kind of knew of each other, the Vivians. So I just wanted you guys to kind of talk about what we had talked about yesterday, and how close. Because people are always talking about 1 degree of separation. I think that's where you guys were, because you guys had a mutual friend. Is that right?
I think so.
We had a story yesterday that you said make sure she tells that today.
Oh Lord, I'm trying to remember what was the story that I told. Jesus.
Well, y'all had a mutual friend that you guys knew from back in the day. And that story that you told, oh my goodness, Lisa, that was so, it was so funny. I was like, okay, Lisa, you gotta tell that story. Okay, if you don't remember, it's okay.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I truly forgot. Oh Lord. Barbara Cross, who was Reverend Cross's daughter, who was the minister.
We both knew Barbara Cross. Oh, Lord Jesus. I thought I was getting old. Help me, Lord.
We all are, Lisa. We all are getting old. Okay, no
We
worries.
all have those moments where, for whatever reason, it's right there, but for some reason, just can't get to it, and then something will trigger it. So you part of the club now, so we all family.
Oh Lord. Well, I noticed that you guys like kind of knew, some people kind of in and around, but you guys never actually formally met until yesterday. Is that correct?
Yeah. That was my first time meeting them. Yeah.
Wow.
I did wonder if you guys were at there's a civil rights memorial. There's like a huge memorial with water that was done. Oh God, it was like 30 years ago. And it was in Montgomery. And so they invited all of the members of all the families who'd lost a loved one. And their names are etched around the memorial in Montgomery. And so everybody was there. So I met a lot of people there that I had only seen on TV. And I'm sure your dad was at that. And I don't know if you guys were there or remember being there.
I was not. I don't think Charisse was either, but Dad was there. I remember the event.
Yeah,
Dad being, but I wasn't there.
Yeah, I remember I never forget meeting Daddy. He was in control over here, and so he just told us, "I'm gonna need you to have your stuff packed, and we're going to Montgomery for something." And everybody got to go, so you just got your stuff and went. Didn't nobody say why we went. That was the unveiling of the National Civil Rights Memorial, and everybody's gonna be there. So we get there, we unpack, we go to this banquet, and we walk in the room, and I'm reading on the sign what it's about, and I was like, that's a big deal. And as I step into the room, I see Coretta Scott King. I was like, Kim, that's Coretta Scott King. And then I see Merle Evans. That's Matt Evans' wife, Merle Evans. And then I see the Chaney Goodman and Swarno. I'm like, where are we again? What is this we doing, So I met a lot of people that day. That whole weekend was just kind of a blur because it was like, wow. Like Daddy could have given us
a heads up on it.
Just a little.
Now look, well, those are the kind of, those are the kind of things I love to hear because, you just never know. Because what it was, as we had talked about before, Lisa, back then you did exactly what your mom and dad said to do. And we had talked about, there are some things that even, Al had spoke about that his dad had said. He didn't get it until later, So, there's some things that sometimes we just need to do it, just be obedient because the revelation will come. In the 9th hour or the 11th hour, you know what I mean? So I just want to talk about, as I did with the Vivians, Lisa, just what it was like, growing up, as a McNair. Now let me just tell some people like how you came about on this show. All right, Lisa McNair. Her family is a good family friend of ours. And I remember as a little girl, okay, so Al, I got a little girl story too, right? So Lisa would come over to the house and we didn't think anything of it because Lisa would show up and look, we would always, when we have like an extra plate, okay, Lisa here, just give her the extra plate and you just keep on, because we were a family of 6 girls. So with Lisa coming over to the house, what's 7? So, and that's how my mom even just what's one more. so not knowing, anything beyond that, because I'm the little sister, Al, as you were the little sister to Charisse. I was a little sister to my sister Rhonda, and they were great friends. And in fact, oh my gosh, how long had y'all known? Y'all had met each other, what, in 9th, 10th grade, Lisa?
Well, now me and Rhonda, we met as debutantes in our senior year of high school. That whole debutante thing. We had all those classes about how to sit up and stand and walk and all that crap. And, and so then we decided, we're talking there, that we would be roommates at the University of Alabama. And so that's how, but by that time we had left the University of Alabama for different reasons, and we were back home, and I went to Sardis Baptist Church, which was right down the street from where y'all lived. And y'all, your mom and daddy, y'all just were wonderful. Because I would just leave church, no matter what day I was at church, and I'm going to go see Rhonda Neal. And just like, just walk in, hey, I ring the doorbell. I know I didn't call. And your mama, Dad, you ain't got to call. You just come on in. And I took that to heart. And I just would show up anytime. Your mom was so sweet to have just let me in, an interloper. If my mother knew how many times I went to y'all's house without calling first, she would just be devastated. But it was great. I had the best time with y'all. It was either all y'all were there or parts of y'all were there. And it was just the best. It was awesome.
Well, with Six Sisters, you guys, it was always something going on, and we had this huge house in the Bush Hill area, and it never fails, because if Rhonda had friends coming over, my sister Tracy, it's all of us had friends coming over, so my mom was always used to having kids at the house. And so, with all that said, I just wanted to share with everybody just how candid you and your family were and how close we were. And then as we grew up, how things are going these days. Listen, Lisa, we touched on this, and I definitely want to touch it with you as well, as far as how our living is going on in our in our climate these days. I want to get your take on that. But before I do that, I'm always asking, what was it like growing up a McNair? What was it like? Just talk about, who you were at 10 years old.
Well, growing up knowing that your sister was killed by white people who hated you just because of the color of your skin is my first memory. So, that started it out. So that's kind of a crazy place to start and to know. And it kind of puts you on the defensive, not all the time, because you never know where you're going to be attacked. I mean, you have to kind of watch your back all the time. You don't know. You're a target. You literally are a target. So you had that going on. And then, but my parents, super, super awesome people. They made sure that we had a very open life. We got to meet all kinds of people. And I think that's just a testament to their hate. They didn't carry that. They didn't show us that. And what a lot of people don't know is my dad didn't go to 16th Street with my mom and Denise. I don't know why they couldn't figure out how one house need to be under one head and go to one church. But that's for another show. Anyway, so Daddy went to a small Lutheran church called St. Paul Lutheran, a real small church, maybe 200-300 members, except for five. All of them were black except for 5 people. The pastor, his wife, and their 3 kids were white. So Pastor Elwanger and his wife were at our house all the time, and we were at their house all the time. And my dad was an elder in that church. So that gave us the immediate understanding that all white people were not evil. All white people were not mean and hateful, and some of them had our backs. So that was a great blessing. Maybe that's why God didn't have them both go to the same church, because he needed to have that example in our lives to be able to be seen. But it's just always been at first it was just real weird, because it's like people would see you in the street, and when they found out who you were, oh, you're the McNair, I'm like, you famous for having done something, I don't have a major record or anything like that. You get famous for just somebody died, So that part was always real weird to how to navigate in that. And then now it's just become really important that I share that story so that people can change, so their hearts can change. So what it was like has morphed over the years.
And I remember that. I remember growing up, just you and your sister just being, who you guys were, daughters of your parents and friends of our family. And you didn't do anything, out of the ordinary. And in fact, you guys were trying your best to live an ordinary life. But when you are kind of, thrust into the spotlight as it is, because I don't know, you and all three of you guys can talk about this. It seems as though now, these days, that people are starting to really understand and really embrace the civil rights movement and why they did what they did. Because now we have to get to a point of getting to peaceful protests as opposed to what we saw in January 6th. I just want to kind of get any of you all's take on that statement.
And I know the Vivians may think this too. I think the 50th anniversaries in the last 7 or 8 years of a lot of different key moments has helped bring that back to the forefront. I think it kind of was at a peak here, and then as time went on, it went down. But as the 50th anniversary came back, for so many people who didn't know about it, it was new history, but it was old history. And for people who had heard about it, they were like, oh, wow, that hadn't happened and this hadn't happened. Like there'd never been a monument to the girls up in that before that time. But at the 50th anniversary of the bombing, citizens got together and developed a great monument to the girls. But it was 50 years later. So I think all these 50th anniversaries have helped people to recognize the movement and what it was and what its benefits were.
Wow.
I want to get you all.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Scribe. Go ahead.
No. I was going to also say, too, with technology being what it is today, there's really no excuse for not knowing where you can Google. There's museums. The internet is a wealth of information. And me being a Black man, there's so many things I had no idea that I've learned by going on the internet and just typing in the keyword and just getting the history. Now, my grandparents, when they were alive, gave me some of the history of different things and then some of my curiosity. But that's where, to me, there's no way you should not know, because it's so easy to put your finger on it.
Unmute.
Thank you.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think as our demographics continue to shift also, there's being more attention, because there has to be, because our numbers are growing. And actually, our numbers aren't growing. African Americans, Latinos numbers and Asians numbers are growing. African American numbers are pretty stagnant. They're not changing much. Whites, percentage-wise, whites numbers are going down. Latinos and Asians going up. And I think that as the demographics continue to shift and there are more people of color than there ever have been before, percentage-wise and raw numbers, that American society has to look at things in a much deeper way than they had before. And you're starting to see like people coming into public office in ways they had never had before as well. So people are starting to push for more change. Social media has helped a lot as well.
Oh gosh. Yeah. And I totally get what you guys are saying about social media. I wanted to kind of throw that back to Charisse. I hope you're able to answer that question, because you're at the museum. Are there some things that they are doing at the museum at this point in time that will be virtual to keep the the information that you guys have there out in the forefront?
Yes, you can always go to the National Center for Civil and Human Rights online or virtual. You can tour the whole area virtual, the whole museum virtually.
Okay. Cool. Ain't that cool? And what we'll do, Charisse, we'll get that information from you so we can put it in our chat, so everybody that's looking and watching this show from around the world. Yeah, with everything that is going virtual, like Mr. Scribe is saying, I mean, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for you not knowing. It's just that, do you want to put the time into it? Not only that, don't just go off of research. Start having the conversations. And Lisa, that's what we were talking about earlier before you came on, is having those really heavy conversations, because we as Generation X, we have people that we can sit at the dinner table now. We sit at the dinner table of the rainbow. I do have a white, Latino, Asian friend that I can speak to and speak very candidly because of the relationship that I have.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially with our Caucasian friends. I can't tell you how many of them started calling me after George Floyd, and the first question was, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, I still ain't quite figured out why they was asking me why I was out. Was I okay?
Right.
You know, it's like, that was the same stuff, different day. I've seen it all my life, so it was new to them. But I think we have to continue to educate them and help them to understand that this is real and this is something that basically never really ended. It just got covered up. And I think I've shared books and documentaries they should watch. But, they've got to change their hearts as well. And talking to them about that will help.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Scribe. I know we got to head on over and take a break. When we come back, you guys, we'll have more conversation with Lisa McNair. Thank you, Lisa, for popping in on this conversation right here. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Yeah. You already know. Yeah. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon form will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. Elementary show and tell, look at what God did. Was a struggle, now I'm taking off like a rocket. Ain't gonna stop it, I know I'm blessed. And they think I'm by myself, but you know the rest. You know the rest, you don't know the stress. Don't know the stress that I've been through. Everything I've been through, cut like a Ginsu. Heartbreak, disappointment, backstabbing friends too. No money, rent's due, sleeping out the car. Embarrassed as a man, still reaching for the stars. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon form will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. The sky was the limit, but I'm reaching for the stars. I don't smoke, don't drink, you won't catch me by the bar, baby. Why you had to go and break my heart, baby? Wounds hurt, peeling back a scar, baby. Maybe I'll understand later. I understand greater days are coming ahead, but I know that I gotta press through to the end. And I know he's the only one that you can depend on. You can depend on, you can depend on. I'ma make a touchdown. I'm in the end zone, I'm in the win zone. Lose is not an option, thought that I would quit, but he pulled me through the process. I never thought I would've made it, I thought my future faded. He pulled me out the worst just to show me who the greatest. I know the pain hurts, lost what I gained first. Knowledge that I'm breaking free, watch out a chain burst. Yeah, I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon form will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well, still looking well. Still looking well, 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 still looking well. You can still look and tell, no weapon will prevail. Still looking well, even through the pain, rain, hurt, sorrow. Took a look at tomorrow and I see you still looking well. I would never quit, I would never quit, no. Enter to the end, enter to the end though. Everything trying to stop, everything trying to block. I gotta knock down the walls like I'm digging for water. It's still looking well. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well. They thought that I would fail, but my future's still looking well. You can still look and see no weapon form will prevail. I'ma still see heaven even though I went through hell. I might have took a L, but my future's still looking well. Still looking well. looking well.
Have you been sluggish, bloated, overweight? You could be toxic from your environment, food, and medications. It's time for a clean start. Come by or book online today.
Introducing Rain Premium Sanitary Napkin. Rain has an innovative design that is made with a strip infused with Nobel Prize-winning material, graphene.
The infused graphene strip may provide various health benefits that potentially help relieve painful abdominal cramps, help balance the body's pH, help eliminate harmful bacteria, help with aroma, help fight fatigue, boost metabolism, boost immune system. Graphene moves heat away from your core and contains vibrational energy. In this test, we will add water to the graphene strip and then place a 7-watt light bulb onto the strip to demonstrate the level of energy contained. These medical claims have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All results may vary. Protect the most precious jewel in the world, you. For more information, contact the person who referred you to this video.
Rain is exclusively designed by Jewel Sanitary Napkins, LLC.
It's Dr. Morgan. Time to level up. Every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. We look forward to having you tune in.
Hi, this is George Vincent.
And Rick Irvin.
And we are the Heavenly Deposit Team, and
we need you to level up.
Hey, this is your girl, Joanna Hill McGill, Walmart's first Next Gospel Superstar winner. I need you to level up.
Hey, this is Gina A. Towns on Real Talk that takes you higher. Level up. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
Hey, this is Jonathan Graham from Black Out the Box, and you're listening to Angee from the B, Mr. Scribe and Robin from NYC. Level up every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Hey, if you are watching us on Facebook, did you know that you can head on over to YouTube? All you have to do is look for us, The Real Level Up. That's The Real Level Up on YouTube as well. We are doing a simulcast both on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you have any of your family or friends that don't have Facebook, you can always send them over to The Real Level Up on YouTube as well. And let me tell you this, Lisa, we got several people. You know how you can throw your video from your phone onto your television. Mm-hmm. We got folks watching this like a television show.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool? That is so cool. So we have several people I just want to give a shout out to that is continuing watching. There is Marcia Wilkinson who said, congratulations as friend of your sister Denise for almost 55 years. You were always the baby sibling, and I see you as a grown up now, following in your dad's footsteps, your other sister. Oh, man. Oh, well, and as we, and there is, Cynthia Jones, who was talking about the Vivians before they left. They actually had to take off, you guys. What they're going to do is send their information where you guys can find them. So head on over to The Real Level Up on Facebook as well as YouTube if you want to find more information about where they are and how you can get in contact with them. But we had Cynthia Jones that said, "To my beautiful cousins, I love you and may God bless as you continue your journey. Keep up the legacy and appreciate all of you." Oh my gosh. And to you, Miss Lisa McNair, there is a Judge Martha Cook. Thank you to the Vivian's siblings. And hello to Lisa McNair. Do you know her? Do you know her, Lisa? Well, welcome, everyone. And please hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel so that you can always stay in contact when we are going live. Well, actually, even when we're not live, we will always put up something on Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here at The Real Level Up. Welcome, everyone. Go ahead, Mr.
I just want to say real quick, just to thank all our independent music artists. So the music that you hear during our breaks are independent artists that are faith-based artists. So they're getting the opportunity to get exposure on our platform. And if you listen to the songs, the message is always positive and uplifting, giving glory to our God.
Oh, yeah.
They are awesome. They are awesome.
Oh, girl. I mean, Lisa, we have ran into so many artists since, the inception of the show. And when we made the decision, because Lisa, let me tell you, you probably already know this. Girl, if I got one more time saying that we cannot play these music because we're in violation of copyrights, when we went independent artists, and let me tell you, the independent artist is look, for all of you guys who follow your independent artists, you guys are true diehard fans, and you just only want the best for your independent artists, making sure that they at least get some sort of exposure. And Lisa, we have met so many great independent artists that just hadn't had the opportunity to be on, regular, which is called terrestrial radio. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're fantastic. Yeah. They are
Thank
fantastic.
you. Oh, I had to let them know. Lisa said. Well, Lisa, this is just the three of us. I just want to go, kind of circle back, into a conversation about your family. I mean, Lisa, wow, girl, when you, me, and Rhonda talked, we were just talking like family members. Hadn't really thought about anything, but as you said in the previous. Before we went to our break, it's very important that we do get the message back out again.
And, you said Martha Cook said hi. Martha is a friend of mine that I met recently when I joined this board of this organization called the Morgan Project. And the Morgan Project, our goal is to be about diversity and end racism. But how we're going to do that is working on a curriculum so that his school books and high school students, elementary school students we're changing the curriculum to add Black history and civil rights into the curriculum. So it's a nonprofit, so support us, morganproject.org. But that is what we do. And so it's new. It came about from the George Floyd murder after that. And I think that's a huge key part of what needs to happen. These lessons are not being taught in schools. And I learned so many things when I went on the Sojourn to the Past trip, which is another nonprofit that takes students through the South on a 7-day journey to learn about the civil rights movement. I went in my late 30s, and there were lessons they taught and people I met that I didn't know. To be truthfully honest, I really didn't know who T.C. Vivian was until I went on that trip and saw him on the video and they explained it. I had seen that dude, but I didn't know who he was for real. And so I think that's so important. And many of the kids on this trip coming from Sojourn are not Black. They're Asian or they're white. Most of them are, or Pacific Islanders, because it's from San Francisco, based in San Francisco, and they have grown learning about the lessons that these people, how they fought nonviolently Christian in a Christian way, and how to be strong and deal with the traumas in their personal lives through learning about the civil rights movement. So these lessons are just not for black people. They're for white people, they're for Asian people, they're for Pacific Islanders, they're for Jewish people, they're for Americans, because it's American history. So it's our shared American history, and it needs to be taught and updated and be current. It should show all of America, not just the founding fathers in 1776, but the black people that was involved in 1776 all the way on down the line, because we are Americans, all of us. It's a collective. We're the United States of America for a reason.
And I think that's the narrative, Lisa. The narrative is that it's a crayon box with many colors. It's a rainbow of many colors. I write poetry, so I use a lot of analogies, and that's the way it should be taught. Yes, it should be in the African American community, but it should be just like the Bible. The Bible's not for one specific people. Bibles for everybody. So this should be the same model. This should be modeled after the word, because we're people of faith.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Well, I mean,
yeah, when Jesus coming back, he's not coming for the white people on one bus and the colored people on another bus and Hispanic people on another bus. The Bible said we're going to heaven. Didn't say black heaven, white heaven, Hispanic heaven, Asian heaven, we going to heaven, okay? And everybody gonna be there having a good time praising one Jesus. One God.
Narrative, and that's the narrative that we have to explain. That's the narrative we have to explain when we're on this side, is that you're doing all this hate and doing all these things. What do you think it's gonna be like on the other side? Do you think it's gonna be like this, where everybody's segregated and you're the number one people? That's the part. But again, we know what it goes back to. Being believers, we know where this comes from. S-I-N. That's what started this whole situation. And we know, being believers, how we get redeemed. And on top of that, we know what the future's going to be. So we already can open up a book. Oh, this is what's going to happen. So I don't have to feel defeated. I don't have to feel, I can struggle with that, but I know at the end of the day, if I do the things that I need to do, we're going to be elevated to a place of prominence when it comes to serving him. So that's the hope. And that's what I cling to when I get depressed, when I look at things like what I saw last Wednesday, and having people spew hate and all this strife and all of this division, because I know God is going to swoop in and resolve all of it.
Right. Exactly.
And really, Lisa, I wanted you to reiterate, just how you grew up with your mom and dad, with them not having hatred in their heart. That's hard to even fathom in of itself. Because I know some people that are sitting here listening to the show like, hey, that was my, the thought process. Hey, if that was my daughter killed in a senseless murder, I'm going to have this hatred in my heart. And they didn't. They really didn't. They just as they were being icons in the community of Birmingham, they led the way of what true forgiveness really looked like. Because if anybody could even fathom losing a child to a senseless murder, and the way that your mom and dad just loved up on people, no matter the color, they were just all about healing. They were trying to not just heal the community of Birmingham, because Birmingham at that time was really, even I remember some of the things, I remember some of the things as I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, and coming out of there in the 90s. I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be in this town, always, like you said, always, kind of looking over my shoulder, wondering, what are the things that you see in me that it is just based on how I look, not the content of my character.
Yeah, they were very good at just mentoring that for us, mirroring that for us. The love and and I think that was because, particularly Daddy, he had a relationship with Pastor Elwanger. That was his friend. And white dude who was also very active in the movement. And then he went on to have other friends. Then when he became a state legislator, he had, he was the first black legislator from Jefferson County. So
that's
right. Montgomery sat in the Jefferson County delegation, and he was it. So, but he was so cool and so able to. He loved people. Dad just was a lover of human beings. And he, the people have said I'm a lot like him. He just drop him in a room full of people, and before y'all leave, he's made friends with half of them. And so it's just he was just that way, and I think we all have to understand that, like your friend said, Mr. Scribe said, it is sin. The racism and hate is sin. So at its core, that's sinful. And so people have to know that that's really not who we are as human beings. It's a sinful thing. But it's also like if you hate somebody just because you don't like the way they look, or they got a better car than you, or they got on your nerves. It's that basic thing, like you're a sibling. There's 5 or 6 others of y'all. I got one living now. And we don't get along all the time. And so, what is the best way to work with that? I can scream back at her when she gets on my nerves, but then that's going to get screamed back at me. But the best way to show is to show her love when we're having a conflict. And eventually, it will come down to she'll show me love and we'll remember who we are. And we can relate better that way. Well, it's the same thing, the black and white thing. I could go to our white brothers and sisters who being really ratchet right now and say some ugly things to them, but that wouldn't help ingratiate them to me. I need to take them, one human being as another human being on our level. I travel a lot and I go places, and sometimes I go by myself, probably too much. And I'm driving, and I always stop by that rest stop in Coman. And Coman back in the day was not a place black people were supposed to be. So I think about that every time I drive there, but I had to stop and pee right when I get to that rest stop. Anyway, so I'm going to Huntsville. And so I get there, and I almost always see some older redneck man or a guy in a truck, and we passing in the bathroom. But if I got on my Alabama stuff and that Alabama fan, and he got on something, and I say, roll tide, the whole demeanor just changes. Roll tide! Wasn't that game good that night? I mean, it's just like we got to relate to each other as humans. I mean, 5 seconds before that, I was just another color person he didn't want to have no dealings with. But now I'm a color person who likes Alabama, so maybe we can have a conversation. So you got to find a space like that. The connecting and the reconciliation and all of that has to work out. And then I think we also now, us as Christians, because many of us belong to white churches now. There are a lot of us that go to white churches. And that has been trying in the last 4 years, I'm just going to tell you. We've got to figure out how to talk to them in Jesus' love with scripture about stuff they've been on, how they have not been on our side. And how they've not been an ally all the time. That is important, because I think they've forgotten that, but I was telling somebody that came here for a tour, a group, it was a bunch of groups, it was an integrated group, but there were a lot of white people. And so afterwards we sat down and had lunch, and the white lady was like, well, I didn't hear very much about the white churches. I'm sure they were active and helpful in the movement. I don't see anything about that in the museum. And I was like, 'cause they wouldn't. I was like, they were promoting that what was happening to us was right. And she was just devastated. She had no idea, because they're not teaching that either. But I think, we go to church with them now. We live next to them now. Our kids play together now. The dialogue really needs to have to be had about, hey, you're on the wrong side of history on this. You on the wrong side of Jesus. Maybe don't tell them they wrong right a bit. Just maybe ask them a question. What do you think about blank?
Yeah.
Ease into it, and let them know a circumstance that you've experienced. Let them know, you first moved to a neighborhood, you went to Walmart, and the security people followed you for a half hour, and all you was doing was trying to buy groceries. Stuff like that happens to all of us all the time. Getting pulled over for absolutely nothing. And, they need to understand and have a course correction in their head about that.
Yeah. And it does happen one conversation at a time. It's time out for, any of us, people of color think that we can change a whole group of them where the rubber meets the road is that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you heard this, Lisa, I have a really good friend who's Caucasian, and she just called me out the blue and she was just, and from the heart, I didn't take it any other way. And see, here's the other thing that we can understand, that when they do call, if my friend is going to reach out to me, I'm not going to sit there in what's the word I'm looking for? In amazement or waiting for her to say something wrong or crazy. I got to give her that grace because she does know.
She does know. And the braveness for her to take the time to call, it was a step. I can't tell you how many people called, and I just stopped what I was doing, and an hour, 2 hours later, I still was explaining to them. I had one woman call that was crying because somebody, told her she was a racist. And I'm not racist, and we were talking about white privilege, and me and my husband had worked so hard for years, she was just crying, and talking about her feelings. I said, I'm gonna call my friend Lisa, she can explain it to me, she won't be screaming. So an hour and a half later, I was explaining things and her crying. She understood what we meant by that, and what that meant. And so for her to take that on to the next step, because you're hopeful. The hope is it'll be like dropping a pebble in the water, and it'll have a ripple effect. She'll tell her story. She'll tell her family. She'll tell her kids. And that said, I'll tell you a cool story. If we got time for the next break. Okay. My dad was a county commissioner. He was an elected official, and that was a second, elected job he had. And he was over environmental services in Jefferson County. And part of that was the plumber. So the head plumber had to report to Daddy. And he was an old white guy, good old boy. And so he had to report to Daddy. And they got along well and everything was working cool. Well, my dad must have had some trauma when he was little at the outhouses that were at his house. Because now our house, when we remodeled the house back in the late 80s, now we have 6 bathrooms. You gotta pee or go at my parents' house. There's no line and no waiting, okay? And so he would hire Dennis all the time to come and fix whatever plumbing problem we would have. And Dennis would stick around and laugh and talk with us. And he teased me because he was an avid Auburn fan. I was an Alabama fan. And he said how I was not smart as Kim because I went to the wrong school. Kim knew what school to go to. And so we laughed. But one day, one of the last times he came out here, he talked about, after he got through fixing whatever was wrong, he talked about how he loved Daddy and how he really loved him and how he was a good man and he was nice to his family and everything, and how it just meant so much to be friends with him, and how he used to hate black people and that he had some clan affiliation. And he was taught that black people weren't good and they hated him. They even went so far as he and his wife, once black people moved into Birmingham and started to buy houses, Birmingham integrated, he and his wife sold their house, moved outside of town and bought a trailer and a trailer park just to avoid living next to black people.
Wow.
So that was kind of hard to hear. But he said when he met Daddy, he had to change the whole way he thought about that. Because Daddy was so nice, and we were so nice to him. But he took that, and his wife changed, his kids changed, his son-in-laws changed. And to this day, his daughter who lives in California calls us. She called last week, see how we were doing. She would always call and talk to Daddy, asking for advice. And they'd be on the phone for an hour or two. And that's what needs to happen. those ripple effects where you get one person who makes the course correction in their head and then goes around and shares that with other people. That's the piece that I'm constantly wishing for and hoping for. That will happen.
Wow. Well, listen, we got to take a break, and when we come back, Lisa, I want you to talk about, because I know you had gone around and spoke to the schools. I want
you broke it up.
Can you hear me now?
I don't see you.
Oh no! I want you to talk with the folks about what you're doing in the schools in and around town, and you're probably even beyond Birmingham right now. So when we come back, I want you guys to actually know that we are being broadcast on YouTube as well as Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, head on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and vice versa. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll be right back.
Can you hear me? Hear my humble cry, my soul cries out with praise for you. Please come near me, quench this thirst inside my soul, my spirit rejoices in you. What about all the people?
I waited patiently. You turned to me and heard my cry. You rescued me from sinking sand. Now there's a song in my mouth, a melody of harmony with words from the heart, as we all do our part. Can you hear me? Hear my humble cry, my soul cries out with praise for you. Please come near me, quench this thirst inside my soul, my spirit rejoices in you. You are my brother, I hold your arms up when you're weak. I listen when you speak, never hold you back. I'll meet you where you are, giving all we've got. We'll walk in unity. Can you hear me? Hear my humble cry, my soul cries out with praise for you. Please come near me, quench this thirst inside my soul, my spirit rejoices in you.
Now can you hear me? Don't you fear me? If you can hear me, please come near me. Can you hear me? Don't you fear me? If you can hear me, please come near me. Can you hear me? Don't you fear me? If you can hear me, please come near me. Can you hear me? Don't you fear me? Please come near me.
I won't harm you, I'll never turn my head away. I'll lift you up each and every day. We'll take each step on that road, building heaven here on earth for all mankind. A life with dignity. Can you hear me? Hear my humble cry. My soul cries out with praise for you. Please come near me, quench this thirst inside my soul, my spirit rejoices in you. Can you hear me?
the people. Can you hear me?
Hey, this is Nolan Holloway, aka Mr. Scribe. Just letting you know that I have 3 books of poetry that's available on Amazon.com. So when you get a chance, go to Amazon.com, look up Nolan P. Holloway Jr., not Mr. Scribe, and pick up one of my books for your enjoyment. Peace.
Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, things just still go wrong?
Many times.
What do?
I let go and let God.
All I'm asking from you is to bump up our credit limit to where it was.
It's declined.
We're experiencing some financial hardships at the moment.
You have 6 days to make payment.
I can't believe this is happening.
You know, I never asked you to pray with me.
It's you and me. We got this.
God wants to help you, Peter.
Excuse me?
But you're not letting him in.
I did once. Last time we spoke, you took a man away from me I loved dearly. From that day, I swore to take matters into my own hands. But now I don't know what to do.
I know that you don't believe, but I will pray for you.
I love you so much.
Copy more.
It was a miracle. You believe in miracles?
Listen, if you need me, you call me.
All of the angels in heaven are rejoicing. You gotta know that everything is gonna be okay.
Collection, men's and women's wear, has statement pieces or full head-to-toe custom design. It's the personal styling service customized to your fit, lifestyle, and budget. Hi, I'm Marion Boyd, CEO and your designer guide for success. Contact me at 770-402-0730 Eastern Standard Time from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. only. I'm on Facebook at Marion G. Boyd or Instagram at Marion_Collection1. Get in, my people, where you fit.
Treasures Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled Treasures. Exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
What's up? It's your boy Fred Jones. Let's level up on Sundays 3 to 6 p.m. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
It's Dr. Robert Frazier, CEO of Silk Educational Consulting, and it's time to level up every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Real talk that takes you higher.
This is Be Wise. Listen or watch Level Up every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Keep it locked right here.
Soy Udanis y te invito a escuchar cada domingo de 3 a 6 de la tarde Level Up. Sube el nivel. Gente corriente con historias extraordinarias. No te lo pierdas.
And welcome back to Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you guys for hanging out with us this beautiful Sunday afternoon. All right, our Martin Luther King weekend, everyone. And I hope everyone had an amazing time with our guests that were on the show with Charisse, Vivian Thornton, as well as Vivian. They are children of CT Vivian. And now who we have on the show is Lisa McNair, the sister of Denise McNair. So before we actually end the show, Lisa, I just want to make sure that everyone knew where to find you, what you are doing with your life these days. I remember actually sitting in the pews of my mom's church one day when you had brought a young lady up, and she was the granddaughter of one of the guys that that bombed the church. So, are you guys still going around having those kind of conversations now? Or what are you doing these days? But we can't hear you. I think she's trying to actually switch over. You guys, give her just one moment. In the studio, who we have, in case you guys are just now joining.
Okay.
There
Can
you
you
go.
hear me now?
I can hear you now. Girl, technology, something else, huh?
Boy, so something else. I think the computer is acting crazy, so I'm doing it from the phone.
Okay.
Can y'all see me and hear me okay?
Yep, see and hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Basically, you want to know what am I doing now?
Yes.
Great. Basically, what I'm doing now is doing public speaking and traveling the country. Well, not traveling.
Hang on, Lisa.
Turn her laptop off. She needs to turn her laptop off.
Okay, hey Lisa, actually turn your laptop.
Okay.
First, and then go right straight to the phone.
Okay, I'll go back in and turn it. Just log out.
Yeah, just log out from there because I think it's having an issue with your current.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes the phones do work a little bit better than the laptops on these things.
Yeah. I'm trying to close it. My computer's slow. Close computer.
Right, Michael, we can still see you and hear you, so you can go ahead and while it's doing that, you can continue to talk to us.
Okay. But yeah, so basically that's what I'm doing now. I've been traveling the country, doing public speaking and speaking about Denise and the four girls,
right,
and our family story since about 2013. Since Daddy really wasn't able to do it anymore. But I've started it full time at the end of last year. So that's what I've been doing. And I really think that I'm sharing a word that is in due season, and really excited about people I'm reaching out to, and maybe reaching out.
Still can't hear you.
Hear me? What do I need to do? I don't know what to
do. Okay, now go ahead. I think it's where your phone is situated.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes people have to walk into another room to get a better reception.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay. I'm gonna hold it up like this
for another 8 minutes.
I know, right? Yeah. So I've written a book. I wanted to write a memoir about. I'm part of that first generation who was able to move freely through this country after legalized segregation. So look for that coming out this year. It's called Dear Denise, Letters to the Sister I Never Knew. So I've taken my life story in a memoir and written it to Denise.
Nice.
So the University of Alabama Press is publishing the book. So hopefully we will get that out sometime soon.
Woo! Yes, and so when you do get it out, Lisa, definitely swing on back to the family group here, and let us know about it. We will put it out to our viewing audience, and support you in that, because oh my gosh, that would be an amazing story to hear. Let me tell you other thing that just ran across my mind, Lisa. If you actually had someone to narrate that to the kids in school, oh my gosh, that would be great.
That would be very cool. I think that would be very cool. Very cool. So I'm very excited about it. It's my first book. I'm very excited. I hope there's a second one in me, but I've had this one in me ever since I was 14 to write, and it's finally just getting on paper now. So
yeah, and that's all of us. That's all of us. Don't feel bad.
I think the 50s are the year that you really start doing stuff. I think you're crazy in your 20s, still trying to make sure you have some money and a job in your 30s. In your 40s, you're like, oh God, and I try to just get everything right. You screwed up, and then 50s, you're like, let's just start it over again.
Agree, Lisa. I agree.
Because we don't have long with the halfway point, and we don't.
I agree.
Right now, we're gonna die. So
I agree. I wrote my first book, and I was 51. So I agree.
Yeah. Something about the 50s. They're awesome.
Well, they're trying to pull one out of me, Lisa, and I'm thinking about it. I'm
do it, girl. Do it.
Woo, girl, I know what it takes because I'm listening to all you guys who are authors. I'm like, woo.
It ain't no joke for real. It ain't no joke.
It is a project it is a life in of its own,
Yes.
But listen, I let me put this out here. You heard this on Level Up first time. I bet you once you get done, somebody's gonna come along and say, "Hey, we want to do a movie on it." Come on now, Lisa.
Come on, Tyler Perry. Be listening. Listen to Level Up. Hear what you said.
Hey. You never know. When God puts a little hand stamp on a thing, girl, the sky is the limit. You just never know.
I know, girl. I know. I was laid off in August, last of August. On my job, I've been with 15 years. And I was thinking about doing this work full time, but I hadn't just pulled the plug. And so when I got laid off, that wasn't nothing else to do but do it. And the doors have just been open, have just been, trying to catch all the stuff flying at me every day has been unbelievable.
Wow. That's how you know it's God's plan and his will for you. So, I mean, listen, Lisa, you got a lot to share, especially with our young people and, and embracing them and getting them out there.
Just try to keep it up.
To do it the right. Yeah. Try to keep it up. Well, don't be a stranger to the show, Lisa. This is you are now. You've always been a part of the family, so. Like I said, you guys, Lisa, the McNairs, and my family, we go way back.
Way back.
I really appreciate you, Lisa, doing this. On the eve of when we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday, you have an incredible story, and we here at Level Up will continue to pray that it gets out and all the way out and in His will.
In Jesus' name. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, my website is speaklisa.com. They can see where I've spoken. They can order t-shirts of Denise. They can book me for events as well.
So you guys, actually, we're going to put all that in our chat of this live call. So you guys look for that. You're just listening and you're just trying to catch all the information. But we will be putting it in our Facebook as well as our YouTube, so you guys can check her out there. So definitely. Well, Lisa, thank you so much, girl. We love you, girl. Thank you, my sister. Tell your sister I said hello and we love her.
I will love y'all too. And you do give my love to your family and parents and everybody. And thank y'all for this opportunity.
Hey, not a problem. Well, listen, everyone. We will be back next week, same time, same place, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Real Level Up on Facebook as well as YouTube. You're listening and watching Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. I am your host, Angee from the B. We'll see you next week. Love you, mean it. Take care.
We about to fly. We about to soar across the sky. Just be G. Come on, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is PROMISSLAND Ministry FIRE on the MIC Force Legacy. You blood boy, you kin to me. His blood brought adoption agency for the Lord's cause. When the Lord forced conspiracy, the Lord talked to the black sheep. It's just been Gene dying cause your color. Son dying for a mother. Cain killed his brother, but we still able. Put your heart on the table. Put your head in the halo. Helping him to amigo. Post the word when you feel low. And just fly. Soar across the sky. Because if you lay down and die, they gonna say you never stood for nothing. When the devil was bluffing, you cussing and struggling. Now cops handcuffing, stuffing you, pushing you in the car to take a ride. When you make bail, boy, I'm telling you, boy, you better fly. Soar across the sky, not how you begin. All about the way you tarry and carry while you pray and slay. From Monday to Sunday, for the finale, when you gone, it's grass greener on the cemetery lawn. Be about that life. About that gospel, disciples living never die. FLY.
Spread your wings, take off and fly, fly. Soar across the sky, fly.
Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, couldn't burn up.
Spread your wings, take off and fly, fly. Soar across the sky, fly.
Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, didn't burn up. Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, couldn't burn up. Allow me to take this time and learn you something, youngin'. Ain't no future in frontin', your future in front of you. Who are you frontin' for? Transparency is the forefront of what's possible. Thugs turn to apostle. Streets on the pulpit, the realest to apostle. Streets on the pulpit, the realest thing I ever seen. Go ahead and fly, best of both worlds. Get the best out of you when you call. Too blessed for stress, too anointed for disappointment. Too endowed to act how, too sanctified to believe the devil lies. Too slain to feel any pain. Too much favor to be on the naughty list. Too much discernment to let you pick my gift. Too prayed up to let my flesh mess it up. Too many brothers and sisters in Christ to feel like I ain't got no family. Holy rolling with me, I'm about to fly. Set the sky aflame, holy fire dragon. Breathing on folks' pain, filled with propane. Living water is heated, hot tea for the hot topic. Can't top his performance or fit my God into a locket. Get the picture? 1 million prophets take flight. 100 million prophecies manifest. Ancestry.com. Bloodline, loyalty, you better fly.
Spread your wings, take off and fly, fly. Soar across the sky, fly.
Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, couldn't burn up.
Spread your wings, take off and fly, fly. Soar across the sky, fly.
Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, didn't burn up. Still bars, couldn't hold up. Fire flames, couldn't burn up.
Soar across the sky.
We about to fly. We about to fly. Soar across the
what you want, baby, I got what you need. You know I got it. All I'm asking is for the respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you come home, just a little bit, darling, just a little bit. I every woman is all in me. I can read your thoughts right now. Everyone from A to Z.
Hey, this is Nolan Holloway, aka Mr. Scribe. Just letting you know that I have 3 books of poetry that's available on Amazon.com. So when you get a chance, go to Amazon.com, look up Nolan P. Holloway Jr., not Mr. Scribe, and pick up one of my books for your enjoyment. Peace.
Unveiled Treasures Bookstore. We offer a variety of items: church supplies, homeschool resources, music, books, and gifts. Our free ministry partners online affiliate program provides a collection of Christian resources. Unveiled Treasures, exquisite jewels to enrich your soul.
This is Marion Boyd with Marion Collection, real talk that takes you higher, level up, on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m. It's ordinary people with extraordinary stories.
What's up, y'all? Troy Lance here. It's time to level up. Check them out every Sunday from 3 to 6.
Hey, this is Melly coming at you from the Camp Transformation Center in Davie, Florida, and I need you to level up. Tune in every Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
It's your boy, Mark Buddington, a.k.a. Money Mark. Let's level up on Sundays from 3 to 6 p.m.